Previously on Lost.
Walking up on it. Paint is peeling. The hood is stuck. It's wicked clean. It's part-time four-wheel drive. I like that. Super clean. I mean, it is super clean. Oh, get out of here. They put a thing on there.
Probably use a tune-up, head back and forth to...
Hey folks, Good Guy Glenn here, and welcome to Spooky Jeep. Well, as we talked about in the last video, I did it again. I introduced to you the 1997 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo. This is it. This is the one I went to look at in our last video. It's a runner. It's got some issues with the paint on the hood. Whatever. This looks like it could even be like a repaint. I'm not sure. It's just like the paint is so crappy on these, even on my 96. And the roof is just a disaster. That's going to end up being a rattle can. She's sitting at stock height on stock rims. Tires are a little low. Got to stop and get some air in them. This door is a little wonky. Something's up. I have a sinking suspicion that this truck was hit on this side. There's no damage in the rocker, but I think the door definitely suffered some. I'll get down to the bottom of that. Pretty much the same exact interior as my 96, except here's something I enjoy. Select track with two-wheel drive. So my 96 is quadra-track, full-time four-wheel drive. Headliner shot. Probably taking this headliner out like I took the one out in the 96. That video is in my videos. Still has the spare that's shot. It's gonna need a new spare. Cargo area. Stock carpet still in there. I ripped the carpet out of my other one because it was holding in moisture. But these things are shot. It doesn't have the shocks are done. The air shocks. Struts, whatever. It's got a tow hitch, which my 96 doesn't have. And right now she's bone stuck. This thing has got a hood latch in here that my 96 doesn't. My 96 just opens. And it's pretty clean in here. It's got a new, definitely a new water pump. I haven't gone over it too much yet. These lights need to be replaced. My 96 has got the clear aftermarkets I bought that I converted over to LED. Somebody, I guess, thought it was a good idea to rip the lens covers off. I think they didn't know how they were supposed to change the bulbs or whatnot. That's hot. Oh, that's Jeep. That is such a Jeep thing to do right here and now. Oh yeah. Gonna put that on with some painter's tape to get home. There's a lot of things that look like have been done here, but we'll see. Doesn't look like it's leaking oil nearly as bad as my other rig. Fixed that up with some painter's tape I had laying around my office. Yeah, that's Jeep life right there. Oh, trying to use the 96 key in the 97. Different key. Starts up. There's the check engine light that everyone is so familiar with in these things. The ABS light is on. Probably because the brake line was blown when I bought this thing. The brake line's now replaced. I'll either have to reset that light, or in about 100 miles it'll go off on its own when it realizes the ABS is working again. Heat, well, the heat is typical good Jeep heat. The problem is the blend doors aren't working and it's not coming out through the vents. It's only coming out through the defrost and the floor. The door cards are a little bit meh. I mean, mine are messed up in my other Jeep in a different way. I'm on a highway. We're not going very fast because I live in North Jersey. At 60 miles an hour, this thing gets a little bit of a shimmy and it makes a noise that makes me believe maybe the bearing somewhere is going bad on this thing. It's not a normal bearing noise. I'm hoping like hell it's not the pinion. But this thing's got no lift on it, so there's no reason why the pinion would be out of. It drives straight. It shifts hard. It's not slipping, but it's shifting, it's banging into gear like it's got like a performance, like any of you who ever built like a muscle car, like it's got a performance torque converter in it, like that kind of banging into gear. I'm gonna check the fluid when I get home, all the fluids. I haven't been able to drive this thing. I never even got to test drive this when I bought it because it had a blown brake line conveniently. The motor runs good. People who have looked at it, my mechanic buddies who have looked at it, says that this thing's a good runner as far as the motor goes. I have an ABS light on. That might have something to do with the bearing. It rides so much nicer than my 96 with the 3-inch lift on it. I'm definitely probably, and get out from under the bridge. I'm probably not putting a lift on this truck, at least not yet. I will leave this thing stock height. I like the way it rides, man. I like it. Like, it's much smoother ride. It's not bumpy. Like any of you have watched my videos and heard what goes on in my truck, I think I have a very rigid suspension because it's got a fairly new lift on it, and it's just rigid as hell. Whereas this thing, I think the shocks are at the end of their life, so this thing floats more like a land yacht. I've got the regular headlights, the halogens that I had put in when I first got the 96. And then I, of course, went over to LEDs. So one of the headlights is out on this rig. I'll change both the headlights out for now, the time being. Just put in regular bulbs. Those lenses gotta be, the whole entire thing has gotta be changed out. I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the other rig. That's an upgrade I'll do because you need to be able to see where the hell you're going. I gotta check all the fuses to see if the fog lights are just both blown out or if the fuse is blown. I find it hard to believe that this rig is newer with less miles than mine, and my fog lights worked when I got the rig before they broke. I'm going to make this thing safe enough to drive at the stock ride height, and probably put my daughter in this because she's starting to drive this year for the time being. And if this thing doesn't work out as a runner, I'll take the rear hatch, the hood, and as much as I can for the other rig. Maybe swap out and make the other rig select track so I have a 2-wheel drive option in that. Or I put this thing on a 3-inch lift like the other rig, and I just have another rig on a 3-inch lift. I think this thing would look hot with some white D windows, like classic old Jeep, 70s Jeep stuff. I think I want to do that. My wife, who hates the spooky Jeep, she doesn't like to drive it because it's full-time 4-wheel drive, and she just doesn't like the way it feels when she drives it. She said she won't drive this because of the color. It says on the title it's green. It's like a beige green, like a khaki color. That's the least of my worries. More evidence that this thing was in some sort of accident. You got wood screws holding on the trim. I bet you if I take this trim piece off, this whole thing is probably shot. But what do? The thing was $500. You know, you just deal with it, I guess. But it would be nice if the guy told me all the little issues, like when I asked him specifically about the rig. But, people feel they have to lie. Like they're trying to sell you whatever. That's why I would only sell a ZJ to someone who has the sickness. And I would be forthcoming about all the issues in the rig, because that's just what I do. I mean, I wouldn't sell one of these to someone who didn't know ZJ or Jeep life and the certain issues that they have. It's like kind of uncool. But it is what it is. I'll deal with it. Got a cheap rig for $500. How many used cars can you really buy that are road worthy for $500? Not many. So I'm gonna take this windshield wiper fluid, put it in here, and we're going to Go get some air in the tires, air them up proper. And we're gonna check all the fluids, make sure everything's topped off. Just give it a looky-loo now that I can. Check the trans fluid while this thing's hot. Dipstick's over here. Trans fluid is a little bit low. Nothing too bad. I mean, I've seen worse. We'll top it off maybe. Or maybe I'm just gonna do a fluid change. So I'll let it ride. I don't know. Now I'm gonna check the oil. The oil's fine. It's not even that dirty, to be honest with you. So that's pretty good. Fluids are pretty good. Well, that's gonna about wrap it up for us today here in Spooky Jeep. That was the 1997 ZJ that I purchased for $500. Checked the fluids, everything's good. Aired up the tires, drove it to work today, seemed to do all right, has some issues. Vibration at 60 miles an hour, we'll get down to the bottom of that. And I'm just gonna get this thing really road ready, like where it's safe to drive, and I'm not gonna really do a whole lot to it. We're gonna focus more on the Spooky Jeep. You know, that thing still needs another front axle in the front on the driver's side. So, whole host of issues. Now we have double the money suck. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, you know what to do. Smash that like button for me. Share this video with anyone who lives the Jeep life. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so when I drop another video, you get a notification. Once again, Good Guy Glenn with the Spooky Jeep. Thanks for watching.